What is going on, YouTube? It's your boy 3G here, back with another video. And if you guys can't slap a like and dabble for your boy one time, it definitely helps me out. I just want to say shout out to my boy King Dub7 on Twitter for providing me with this article from GameSpot. It reads, EA response to criticism to Titanfall 2 releasing so closely to Battlefield 1. And basically they questioned or they asked the question to EA's CEO Andrew Wilson, in which I'm already a little bit aware of this situation because earlier this year, CEO of EA had mentioned that he wasn't worried, or EA isn't worried about releasing two shooters during the same month because they're trying to cater to two different audiences. But I guess this article has raised some more attention now, where, you know, he got asked the question again. And basically Andrew Wilson was asked the question if he'd do things differently next year in the future, refraining from releasing future shooters, not futuristic shooters, but two shooters in the future so closely together. And Wilson had responded, while Battlefield 1 and Titanfall 2 have some overlap, they fulfill very different motivations in what a player is looking for. So he goes on to say, you know, there's three different type of players. Wilson had said, saying that people who love Battlefield and that kind of strategy gameplay will orient in that direction, and people who love, you know, fast and fluid kinetic gameplay of Titanfall 2 will orient in that direction, and then people who really just love shooters and love both will get both. So I guess that was his motto. That's basically the strategy and what they're going with. And then he says, and then again, we're very, very excited about quality of both titles, and they believe that both have a very long sales cycle, which I actually believe as well. He goes on to say that, so as we think about the long game on this, we couldn't be in a better position for what we think is delivering a great game to a very, very big player base. Saying that was their strategy. Also mentions that Titanfall 2 has free DLC maps and modes, and that they've been receiving a lot of positive feedback. And, you know, my thing, just to go off, you know, he just kept going, saying that those two were the best shooters for this year. Obviously, it's not really taking shots on Call of Duty, but this is what I'm gonna say quickly about Call of Duty. Before, people used to say, oh, you know, shooters need to meet the Call of Duty standards. There's no longer that. I wouldn't even suggest using that as a motto anymore. There's no resume that, you know, of Call of Duty at this point, simply because of this. David Vonderhaar has said last year that he was very much inspired by other games such as CSGO, with the style of what they're doing with their games, as well as Destiny, and therefore their game has similar features of those two titles. Therefore, you have lost that standard of a first-person shooter. Not only that, you've taken your traditional, you know, boots on the ground shooter and brought it into a whole different lane. Therefore, I will say this here, in my opinion, they have lost that whole, they hold the standard of a first-person shooter. So that's just my belief. I do believe Battlefield in this point holds the throne as being the standard for a shooter, being you can use vehicles, you can use, you know, aircraft, dogfights, you have gun warfare, you have boots on the ground. These are things that should be in just war games, period. Especially when your game expands across, you know, world wars and all this crazy nonsense. You know, you should have this type of warfare in your game. But let me just go back now to Titanfall 2. Now, although I would like to agree with Andrew Wilson in his statement of saying they're in a positive position right now, in a very good position having these two games, and the fact that they cater to three different audiences, people who like one or the other or both, the fact that, you know, Titanfall 2 hasn't received that recognition yet. It doesn't have that spotlight yet of being that go-to shooter or for kinetic warfare, you know, and just like Battlefield, people recognize Battlefield. Battlefield is a well-known game. So therefore, Battlefield can be, you know, can launch next to Call of Duty and people will still buy Battlefield. Battlefield will be talked about. But Titanfall has not yet received that type of recognition. Yes, you know, the promoting and all these, you know, outlets is really trying to release articles on the game, trying to spread awareness on how good the game is. But that is too early for this game cycle, life cycle especially, to just launch it next to a game such as Battlefield, even from your own company as well as Call of Duty. That's definitely a risk you just took, because if your sales wasn't as largely amounted, like for example, if you didn't reach that sale goal, what can possibly happen to Respawn? You get what I mean? So I mean, just in the future, you should release a game like this very early, being with the amount of content. I guess this gives people an insight of what they could look forward to in the next iteration if you guys decide to develop another one. But definitely try, like, or in my opinion, try to give this game some space for growth on its own, because being that you releasing it next to another two shooters, you definitely put yourself at risk of having very low sales, choices to be made, to be recognized and all that other shit. So I mean, in my opinion, I'm half and half with what Andrew Wilson has to say. But yeah, I'm just glad to see that Andrew Wilson actually spoke on this matter. A lot of people were like, why the hell would you do this? But I mean, that's their vision. I mean, it would suck to see something happen to Respawn because of the lack of sales. But once again, I guess that's their vision. I wonder what Respawn Entertainment has to say about this. Would they feel comfortable releasing a game again next to like Battlefront next year or another Call of Duty? I don't know. But I mean, let me know what you guys think in the comment section below. Everything I've said, do you agree, disagree? Drop a like if you enjoyed, dislike if you disagree, or however you feel. Subscribe if you're new. It's your boy GMG, and I'm out of here. Peace.